first macromolecule or biological molecule that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about four different groups. The first group is going to be called carbohydrates. We built a few of these, or we built at least one during our time in lab on Thursday. So remember, every group is going to have specific things that we call the monomer. So monomer is a general term. The name of the monomers in the carbohydrates are the monosaccharides. So this is what we built in lab. We built a glucose molecule. It is a monomer of carbohydrates. Fructose, galactose, ribose, deoxyribose. These are things we're going to find in our genetic info. These are all types of monosaccharides. In general, monosaccharides will have between 3 and 7 carbons. We mentioned that there'll be a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. So if we recall, actually all three of these are C6, H12O6. Fructose is also C6, H12O6. Galactose is C6, H12O6. And remember the term we give to anything that has the same formula but a different structure is called an isomer. So glucose, fructose, and galactose are all isomers of each other, but they're all monosaccharides. We can then take those monosaccharides, like we showed in our dehydration synthesis, and we can put them together. So if I take a monosaccharide, and I'm just going to abbreviate this mono, and I take another monosaccharide, I can create a bigger molecule called a polysaccharide. I think I'm going to have to rewrite that, because even with my abbreviations, I got a little bit too big. So we can take a monosaccharide plus another monosaccharide, and we will create a polysaccharide plus a unit of water. So the specific name given to polymers in the carbohydrate group are called polysaccharides. So we can fill in any monosaccharide for this general term for monosaccharide. So I think I did this example in class, but we can do it again. If you take fructose plus glucose, we will get the specific polysaccharide called sucrose plus a unit of water. So sucrose is a polysaccharide, and it is specifically a disaccharide. A disaccharide is just a special group of polysaccharides that have only 2 monomers. So fructose has 6 carbons, so we generally make it as a we usually represent it structurally as a hexagon. And glucose also has 6, so we'll represent it. Each bar will represent one of the carbons. And when we put this together to form our disaccharide, they have to be linked by a covalent bond. And every one of our polymers will have a specific name for the covalent bond. This is called a glycosidic bond or linkage. So that is the specific name given to the covalent bond that will join monomers to create polysaccharides. Some important carbohydrates that I do want you to know. So I already gave you 5 different monosaccharides to know. Some important polysaccharides to know. In particular, these are disaccharides, meaning that they are made up of exactly 2 monomers. Some words you're going to need to get familiar with: sucrose and lactose are 2 of the biggie for disaccharides. And then there's a whole bunch of different polysaccharides. And these polysaccharides are what we're going to start to put together and make biological cells out of. So within our carbohydrates, here are some polysaccharides that you need to know. So these are also given in the book, but I'm also going to give them here. Polysaccharides, one of their main functions is to store energy. And so in plants, this is called starch. And this is a chain of glucose molecules. However, so this is plants are going to store energy in the form of starch, which is why you like eating a baked potato. You're eating all that energy that was stored by a plant. We also have glycogen. This is how animals are going to store energy. This is also, once again, this is just a chain of glucose molecules. So different organisms will put together these polysaccharides in different ways in order to store energy. Another thing that polysaccharides do is that they can be used for structures. So they can become cellular or organismal structures. One of the biggest ones is called cellulose. There are some people that think this is the most prevalent compound on the planet. This is what plants make their cell walls out of. Another one that is used for structure, another polysaccharide, is called chitin. This is used by two different types of organisms. Fungi will use this for their cell walls. So funguses, although they seem really squishy, they also have cell walls, or this is what insects make their exoskeleton out of. Or other arthropods too, things like crabs. The reason those crabs are so nice and crunchy is because they are made of chitin. And then I thought I had one more. No, I got cellulose, I got chitin, I got starch, and I got that. So the different polysaccharides you need to know are the starch and the glycogen, which are ways to store energy, and the cellulose and the chitin, which are ways that organisms make cell walls or exoskeletons. The other thing you need to know is what is the function of monosaccharides. So monosaccharides and disaccharides, these are much smaller molecules. So their main function is short-term energy. Or some people might say immediate. And you've seen this anytime you've seen a kid go on a sugar rush. They've ingested some monosaccharides. You've given them some candy. And all of a sudden that short-term energy immediately becomes available to the body and boom, they take off.